Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, jumbo. Bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are kicking off our Halloween celebration this week with two fantastic authors. Erica D. Allen is going to be here later on to celebrate Cairo's first Halloween. But first, we are speaking to Paige Lawrence, talking to us about her book, Gobbling Ghouls. Before we invite Paige into the studio, we want to invite you to visit our merch page at readingwithyourkids.com. Right there at the top of the homepage, you will see merch. Click on that link, and you'll be able to find out about our great Reading with Your Kids branded merchandise, a great t-shirt, a super fantastic coffee mug, and, of course, to keep you and others safe, a Reading with Your Kids face mask. They look fantastic, and it's a great conversation starter, a great way for you to spread the word about all of the benefits families can experience when they read with their kids. Check it out today. Go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com, click on the merch button at the top of the page, and be the first one in your neighborhood with a Reading with Your Kids branded piece of merchandise. Joining us right now from right outside of Hartford in the great state of Connecticut. She is here to celebrate her latest book, Gobbling Ghouls. Please welcome to the show, Paige Lawrence. Paige, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm pretty wonderful, and I can't wait to find out about Gobbling Ghouls. What a great book for this time of year.
I agree. It's Halloween. It's a fun month, and The Gobbling Ghouls is a new book that I released, and there are 6 hungry green ghouls who dive into dumpsters and tip over trash cans in search of their favorite junk food treats, only to realize that their unhealthy eating habits cause them a bit of trouble and they have to eat a better diet. So that's the message of this story. It's a good one. And since they're ghouls, it's great for Halloween.
Yeah. I didn't understand that. I didn't know that ghouls had to watch their weight and suffered from indigestion and heartburn and all that other kind of stuff.
Who knew, right?
I know.
But no, apparently they do. So, yeah, they learn a big lesson. It's too bad too, because it's kind of fun to watch them diving in the dumpsters and being menaces all around town, but it's okay. It's okay. They still, it's a good thing. They're healthy now, so.
Yeah. Healthy ghouls. That's something you gotta do some gymnastics to get your head around.
I love it.
I think this is a great message, because I think, I grew up like a lot of guys my age, approaching 100, it was whatever was in front of you, and
That's right.
The more the tastier it was, it meant there was more fat and more salt in it, and that was really great.
Yeah.
I didn't become really conscious of eating and eating healthier until I had kids, and it was it was like, I want to be a good role model for my kids, and I want to show them. And the first thing I did was I just kept like a little diary of what I was eating every day, and I was horrified after the end of the first month. I'm like, my goodness,
you're not alone.
yeah. What inspired you to write Gobbling Ghouls?
Well, I'll tell you what. To go back to this struggle to eat healthy. I mean, we're all human. I've had my own struggles as well. And I actually started with 2 other books. My very first book was called Gluten-Free Ghouls. And the reason why I started that series is because I was having some health issues myself. And I ended up learning a lot about how to eat better. And I also realized that a lot of kids were suffering with gluten issues, which is, again, like, I'm also kind of approaching 100 myself, And so, like, I used to be able to think that I could eat anything that I wanted to. But you know what? The truth is you can't. I'm not perfect at it. But, so I started with the gluten-free ghouls series, and then, I realized, well, you know what? While gluten-free ghouls can be for all kids, it teaches all kids about, being healthier, avoiding gluten, what gluten does. But I thought that, gobbling ghouls would be even more far-reaching because, I think if we're being honest, we're all struggling, Eating healthy is not always that easy. So, that's why I moved and I created, the Gobbling Ghouls.
Yeah, it's been especially hard during the lockdown and the pandemic. People were talking about the pandemic 15. I changed my scale to read in kilograms because it just looks lower.
I'm going to try that.
Cut your weight in half until you do the calculations. Like, oh no.
Yeah.
Where did the idea to use ghouls and write about ghouls came from?
Well, it was really interesting. I feel like that my journey as an author started as a kid, growing all the way up, starting to write rhymes, drawing cartoons from everywhere. Well, I had another book called Alden the Misunderstood Monster that I did, and that's actually not out yet. But I had to come up with a monster for that book, and I was referencing the movie Monsters, Inc., and unfortunately the monster looked too close to that monster. And I shared this book with an executive editor at a publishing company, and that was her only comment. She said, you need to change this monster. It looks too much. It reminds me of the one in the Monsters, Inc. movie. So I started drawing all these different sketches, and to come up with an original monster, it can be challenging. And I kept drawing these characters, and I was like, well, I just keep thinking ghouls, which I guess ghouls are monsters. But then the idea just started to unfold from there. I saw this logo, Gluten-Free Ghouls, because that was the time I was going through those issues, and I don't know, just right from there, step by step, it started to unfold and become this entirely other book. And I love these characters. I've heard from kids. Young kids are like, why isn't this a cartoon? And that'd be great. I'll do that. So, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting that kids love these monstrous kind of characters. They love dinosaurs. They love monsters. When I was a kid, it was down for the Saturday matinees every weekend for Godzilla and Rodan and Mothra and all that stuff.
King Kong.
Yeah. Why do you think kids like monsters, are so attracted to these quote-unquote scary characters?
That's a good question, but I guess it's a good chance for them to use their imagination. I like it because I like anything fun and different. And these 6 characters, they're mischievous. They get into trouble a little bit. They're not bad by any means, but I mean, they're out running about the town, eating anything they could find. And I don't know, I just think it's not everyday life, and again, it allows them to use their imagination. And these monsters, these ghouls, they really seem to take a liking to, and I'm glad they're having fun with it.
Now, you mentioned there are 6 ghouls in your book. Do you have a favorite one? Do they have distinct personalities?
Yes, they do, and yes, I do. Bonkers is my favorite. He's the youngest. And he's kind of like hyper and excitable, and he's, just gets into, have on one of the pages, he has like a trash can on his head, and he's just fun and silly. And then there's the whole spectrum. They go all the way up to Pops, who is the oldest and probably the most responsible. Bogey is a little bit younger than Pops, but he's a big golfer, and I come from a family of avid golfers, so I had to throw a little bit of a golfing spin in there. So
a golfing ghoul.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I imagine that Goblin Ghouls would be a really fun book to read around Halloween. No one really knows what's going on with Halloween this year. I know here in Boston, the mayor made a proclamation. It really kind of blows my mind that the mayor and the governor are being questioned about what's going to go on for Halloween. You'd think that they'd have more important things to talk about, but I guess this is important. And, you know, this year, it's not being called off here in Massachusetts, but how do we do it safely? This might be a great alternative to sit down and to get into costumes in your home and maybe visit a couple of very trusted neighbors and then sit down and read the story and then talk about some healthy treats that we can enjoy for Halloween.
Yes. I have suggested in some of my Instagram posts to actually maybe purchase this book. Not saying that you'd have to buy it for all the kids in the neighborhood, but for maybe your own child or your own children, instead of snacks that are unhealthy, give them a nice book, and it'll keep them busy for hours, especially if it does come down to not being able to go out and trick or treat. Or, you know, some people, they just want to stay safe, stay home, and just do it a little differently this year. And I am planning to do an Instagram live story time at 5 and 8 on Halloween. So I figured, you know, for those kids who may not go out trick or treating, that would be a great option too, you know? Mm-hmm. So.
Very, very cool. What a great idea. I would love to take that idea and really expand it. Imagine if we had a holiday where kids dressed up as their favorite characters and went door to door, and instead of getting candies, they got a book.
That'd be great. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah. Probably a little expensive for the people.
Well, it would. That's the catch. You know, maybe, you know, one day I would love to be able to give away books like that for free to kids. I would love that. Yeah. I've actually done that once to a children's hospital. I gave 40 books once. I always wanted to do that. So, yeah.
Well, I'm really happy. And I really, I mentioned this half joking, but it's also a great reminder. You know, here it is, Halloween week, and the winter holidays are right around the corner. And whatever it is you celebrate, it all seems to involve gift giving. And what a great gift to give to kids! A book lasts forever.
Yes, it does. And I receive pictures all the time from parents and teachers and everything that showing kids just having so much fun. They're bonding. I received one recently of two brothers sitting together, and you know, sometimes brothers or kids don't always get along, but it just was so nice to see them smiling and laughing and bonding over a book. And books, not just mine, but they help kids obviously learn and improve their reading skill. There's just so many positive things. And I think bringing families together is such a huge part of it. I'm so excited to be able to bring joy to families with something I enjoyed making, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, one of the questions I love to ask authors, now I know when I go out and I'm doing my educational magic shows, and I do a magic trick, and I get that instant response, except when I'm performing on Zoom. Then it's like a 3-second delay. So I had to get used to that. But what about, as an author, you're writing in solitude, and you're writing, you know, what you're writing today may not get into the hands of a family for a year or two from now.
Right.
But do you ever sit back and think about, as you're writing, that, wow, hundreds, thousands of families are going to be sitting together reading my words?
I never thought of it at that level, but I think you're right. I mean, they certainly can be, and I certainly hope they do. While I'm creating the books, I'm just I love it so much. I love what I do. I love writing rhymes. I write specifically in rhyme. It's just fun and a challenge for me. and drawing. I just love it. It's my passion. And I guess when it comes out is when I start thinking, wow, people are going to actually read this. And I love it. It just makes me happy.
That's wonderful. Folks are going to want to know where they can learn more about you and also learn more about Gobbling Ghouls. So tell everybody where they can find you online.
Okay, so this book is available. Actually, all three are available at Amazon.com. You could just search Gobbling Ghouls. I do have a website, glutenfreeghouls.com. That was the website I used for the few years when I was just doing gluten-free ghouls. But now I'm so excited to announce that I just started my business. I switched the business name to the Kids Page, and the page spelled with the I in it, Paige. So you can find me on Instagram, and I have a website. I'm very new here with this new website, so it'll be worked on this weekend, and they'll be able to take a look at it after there. I'll just, soon the Gluten-Free Ghouls one will shut down, and it'll just be strictly the Kids Page. But yeah, so definitely Amazon.com though, if they like to purchase the book.
Excellent. And is that thekidspage.com?
Correct.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we've had a great, fun time speaking to the author of Gobbling Ghouls, Paige Lawrence. Paige, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. I really love being here. Have a wonderful day.
We want to thank Paige Lawrence for helping us start off our great Halloween week celebration. We have Halloween-themed interviews all week long. Right now, get ready to meet Erica D. Allen. Joining us right now from right outside of Houston in the great state of Texas. This author is hot. She is viral, or we should say her beautiful baby is viral. Please welcome to the show the author of Cairo's First Halloween, Erica D. Allen. Erica, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Jed?
I'm wonderful. I feel so happy. I just looked at a whole lot of pictures of your beautiful baby Cairo, and you're going to explain how the pictures came about and everything, but I just had he is such an adorable baby, and the costumes are so cute, and it is no wonder that he has become an internet sensation.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much. No, the idea just started off of me. I couldn't find out which costume I wanted him to wear for his very first Halloween, and the idea just came to me, well, you can put him in as many costumes as you want to and dress him up every day in October. And so I did.
And Erica was just sharing with me, this idea came about. She was, you have a great husband, very wise husband. She was calling her husband and consulting with him on all the different costumes. And he very wisely said, yep, anything you want, dear, of course. Which is a very smart man. I've been able to stay married to my beautiful wife using that strategy for 30 years. So I expect you guys are going to be together for a long, long time. So this idea of having a costume for every day of October, how does Cairo feel about this? Does he love getting the costumes?
Yes, Cairo has been a very good sport from the first costume. Since last year, October 1st, he's been great and a good sport, smiling, and he's like, okay, let me just do what mommy wants and everybody will be happy. But he was a very good sport.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And so you took this, and you were telling me that initially it was just a cute idea. I would share these pictures of Cairo and the different costumes with my family and friends, and then what happened?
And then it just took off and it went viral, and it went from 64,000 shares on Facebook, and Good Morning America picked up the story, Good Morning America, The Insider, and after they picked it up, it went from 64,000 shares to 114,000 shares with 2 million video views. And I was amazed and overwhelmed and excited. All those different emotions at one time was taking place. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I bet. And then you turned that experience into a great picture book.
Exactly. It always been my dream since I was a little girl. Always had a fun imagination, and I was always writing these hilarious stories and cute stories. And I think Cairo, he just brought that back out of me, and I just set to work, and I started on my children's book, and now we have Cairo's First Halloween. Mommy's big idea.
This is really, really fun. And, as great as the photographs were of Cairo, the illustrations in your book are just wonderful. I'm curious, because you had all those great photos. Why did you decide to go with illustrations instead of a photo book?
Well, everyone had already seen all 31 costumes. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to bring out it as a picture book animations, and I wanted very colorful illustrations, something that will catch the little reader's eyes and keep them in tune to the book. And because it's a pretty long book, it's 31 costumes. So I wanted to keep them engaged in the book, and so they won't okay, I'm tired of reading after costume number 5. So the story is a great story. The illustrations make the story come to life, and it was just wonderful, and I was very satisfied. I told the illustrator my vision. I told her I want some popping colors, and I wanted to be friendly, inviting, and she delivered.
Awesome. Well, we have to acknowledge and give your illustrator a shout out. So tell us who it is.
Katie Zucchini. She's an illustrator that's out of the country, mm-hmm. and I found her just off of Googling illustrators and their different styles, and all I can say is she's amazing, and she delivered.
Yeah. Well, you're pretty amazing. You took a neat little idea, and that really kind of blew up, and then I guess the entrepreneurial creative spirit inside you took over. That's challenging for a lot of people. It's really challenging to take that step. It's one thing to have an idea. It's another thing to put some pictures up and, oh, look at that. Lots of people like them, and it really kind of took off. But now going out and becoming an entrepreneur, self-publishing a book, yet finding an illustrator, that takes a certain amount of courage. Where did that come from for you?
Yes, I've always been a go-getter, hard worker at anything I do, and I just wanted to have complete control of my creativity. I could have shopped my book around to big major publishing houses, but I didn't heard stories where they pick your illustrator. They sometimes change your story around. And this was a new ball game for me. I never, entered this field. So I wanted to take on that challenge, and I always reference back to Tyler Perry. He built an amazing empire off of his creativity. He didn't allow anyone to come in and change his thoughts, his just anything. And I just took a note from that book, and I just ran with it. I was like, okay, I'm not going to allow anybody. This is my idea, and I'm going to stick to my idea. This is my vision. Sometimes your visions, they could be a wonderful thing, and they come from a higher power. So I have Cairo's First Halloween.
Yeah. You're absolutely right, and I think a lot of authors, especially first-time authors, don't understand it, that when you sell a manuscript, you are selling the manuscript. You're taking your idea and you're saying, you're in exchange for this much money, here you go. And at that point, the publisher who bought the rights has control over your story. And it can be a good thing and a bad thing, but I love the fact that, you had your vision, you had a very clear vision of what you wanted to create, and you wanted to take and control that. And I really applaud you for that. It takes, like I said, it takes a lot of courage. And interesting that you were inspired by Tyler Perry.
Yes, because I'm very inspired by him, his creativity, and what he took an idea and he built an empire. And I'm trying to follow the same path.
Yeah. As you were talking about, the fact that this is longer than a typical picture book, talking about 31 different costumes, I was thinking that this could be a really fun book that families could pull out on, just like they pull out their favorite stories at Christmas time every year. This would be a really neat book to pick up at the beginning of October and just read one costume a night. And, that way you have a whole month of sharing this book and maybe coming up with costume ideas. And maybe you don't want to go out and buy 31 costumes, but you could, as your kids get older, they could draw 31 different costumes and ideas. And what a great way to inspire some great family time together.
Yeah, and it also gives the child a chance to tap into their own imagination, their own creativity, because you'll be amazed when you just tap into your own imagination what you can create. And right now, I don't know if you had a chance to look, right now we're doing 31 days of Halloween this year. And so it's been a really good, we're on day 6 and everyone is loving it just like they did last year. So I'm having fun with it.
Tell everybody where they can connect with you if there's a person out there who isn't one of the millions who've already seen the videos and the pictures and everything. Where can they find out more about Cairo's first Halloween and also find out more about Erica D. Allen?
Well, you can find out about Cairo on Instagram. It's Cairo, CAIRO_A_. That's his page where you can review all his excellent costumes, even from last year. And you can click on the link and it will lead you to Linktree, which will link you to the book on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and it also link you to my website.
Awesome. We've had a great time speaking to the author and the budding entrepreneur, Erica D. Allen. Be sure to check out her book, Cairo's First Halloween. Erica, thanks so much for being part of the show.
Thank you for having me, Jared.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Jacqueline West. She'll be helping us continue our Halloween week celebration with a discussion about the books of Elsewhere. That is the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Want to thank everybody who helped make today's Halloween kickoff show so wonderful. Of course, want to thank our guests, Paige Lawrence and Erica D. Allen. Also want to thank my team, starting with my daughter, Alejandra Doherty, Fatima Khan, Peggy Cotto. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. I want to thank Augie the doggy for having my back here in the studio. But most of all, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.